Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photo chats. So, I made a tintype photo. There was a there's an event in March in Denver every other year called the Denver Month of Photography. And as part of it, there was a Boulder photographer who was doing a demonstration of tintype photography. So I went to his studio in Boulder to see it, and it turns out only one other person showed up, a woman from a local town near Denver, and the two of us were the only two to really be a part of the demonstration. And the photographer asked if we wanted to make tintypes, and even though it cost a little bit, we said sure. So the fascinating thing about tintypes is you take this piece of tin. He gets them from a trophy store. They have black metal on one side, silver metal on the other side, and you peel the plastic off the black metal so it's perfectly dust free, and then you have to pour collodion onto it. And I started doing it like this. Oh, okay. And he said, no, you can't do that. You have to hold it underneath. Now this piece of tin doesn't weigh anything, and you have to hold it from underneath, and you have to pour the chemical on so that you can get it on all four corners and make it so that all of it gets covered, and then the extra you pour off the end of the piece of tin. But if you were to put your finger up near the edges, the surface tension that's created as the liquid hits the edges would hit your finger, and then it would roll off. But if you don't have any edges that are open, then all of the surface tension will hold the liquid on. So it was fascinating. It was really, at first, a little challenging to think, how am I going to hold this thing when I really can't hold it? Then after that was done and the collodion was poured off, I put it inside of a vat of silver halide chemical that he had mixed up, and it went inside that, and it sat there for 3.5 minutes, and he timed it. Then he pulled that out. You should use black. You should use gloves, because otherwise you'll get silver on your hands and your hands will get black. But he didn't use gloves. He just had black hands, and he pulled it out and loaded it into an 8x10 film holder that he had put a piece of cardboard inside with a cutout for the 4x5 piece of tin, which is now tacky, but not drippy. It is wet plate, but it's not soaking wet. It's not dripping wet. So he puts that inside the film holder, puts the dark slide in front of it, and we have about 15 minutes to run inside the studio in his house, make an exposure. So using an 8x10 camera with a 4x5 marking in the center, I compose a photo of this woman, and she composed a photo of me. And I'll put a link to both of those photos in the show notes. And we were able to document with tintype a portrait of each other. And it was fascinating. After we made the exposure, we ran back out to his dark room, which is located in a big van. He uses it as a mobile dark room to take tintypes on the road to do it at weddings and things, events. And he poured developer on, and we saw the image come up. And everything after the first collodion, which is in regular light, you can do that. Everything after that is in red light, because the silver-based sensitive sheet is not sensitive to red light. When we're developing it, the red light is on, and we can see the image come up. So then he fixed it. He ended up putting a little bit of some kind of a varnish on it, and then he put it into a toaster oven. And then it was done. And it's a fascinating process. I don't know that I really want to get into it from a point of view of, I want to start my own tintype business. I want to, do a whole lot of wet plate. But the idea of doing one, it was a really, really interesting, cool process that I learned a lot, and I saw how it works, and I thought it was a pretty satisfying afternoon to spend making a portrait of somebody in a traditional 1850s way and having the results to show for it. And we both agreed, how about you keep mine and I'll keep yours so that we could have photos of ourselves instead of each other. So that was a good win. And I'll, like I said, put pictures down below you can see. All right, that's the little Tintype talk. Hey, if you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon. Thanks to all my supporters. I'll be back next time. We'll talk more photography. As always, here's the good light.